Hello. Welcome to another episode of Anime on Draft, episode 139. I am your host, Drew. Why you I'm confused now. I'm getting signs and
He's trying to do
symbols.
math in his head.
Numbers.
Makes hand signs. He's trying to give you the hand sign.
Sign on the cross.
Oh,
That's what it looked
God.
like Mark was doing.
Yeah, dude, ninja poses.
To prep us for some Dorohedoro later.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm Drew, joined as always by Alec, Rolando, and Mark. The four of us back together on a Monday. And you know what? We're so kind that we would delay playing idle games that were just released to give you another episode of Anime on Draft. So if you are a fan of the Love Lives, the global release of Sif All Stars is out now, as of 20 minutes ago. So that's pretty exciting. But we're not doing that. We're doing a podcast here. Got a jam-packed
beer
show.
and anime.
And surprisingly, we all have the same beer. We are drinking the Popfuji, which is an unfiltered Pilsner by, and somebody help me out with this name.
Brewery West.
Brewery.
It's brewery, but it's spelled Brouwerij.
Yeah.
Browerage.
Brewery
But Brewery
J.
West. So we're gonna be sipping on that.
It's hipster.
Yeah, the J is silent.
Yeah.
It's very true. But it's delicious, so look forward to that. Got a lot of anime topics too, talking about some Nisekoi episode.
Nisei
I always
Monogatari.
I call it Nisekoi every time, and I even typed it on the script. Nisekoi. What is
Yeah, I
wrong
was
with
like,
me?
why does it say Nisekoi episode 5 right here?
What is wrong with me? It is Nisei Monogatari. It's not fake love. It's fake story.
You're the host. You're changing it up on us last second.
Just like we were supposed to watch
guys, did you watch Nisekoi this week?
No, it definitely didn't. So I have no comment.
No, so we got Nisei Monogatari episode 5. We're gonna be talking about that. We got some seasonal anime. We'll be talking about some of that. Some notable news, shows going on hiatus due to a global coronavirus crisis. So we got a lot going on. But before we do that, let's sip some of these beers and jump in, I guess, right into. I'm gonna keep saying Nisei Monogatari.
You said that last week.
Drink more. It'll be. I say it every week. I say it every single week.
You won't notice. You won't notice if.
Desire.
You won't notice it if we drink a lot. We won't notice.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it, and I need to change it on here because it's like really confusing.
He's just gonna read it again. He's gonna read Nisekoi again and just say it.
I'm just gonna keep saying it. But Nisei Monogatari, we got episode 5 going on. We get a little bit more of what's going on with the older sister, Karen. We get some more Kaiki, and we get some interaction between both Hanekawa and Araragi. I've seen it multiple times. Rolando's seen it, so I'm kind of opening it up to Mark and Alec. Overall impressions of this episode, anything that stood out to you, anything you liked, dislikes, what do you think's going on?
Yeah, Mark, what do you think's going on?
I do like the Kaiki character. He was kind of interesting. He calls himself a con man, and he sort of is like essentially conning out like all these middle school students out of money, but he does have some sort of like supernatural power connection. So I wasn't sure if he actually started these rumors with some sort of like truth to them and had either granted some sort of curse on somebody or some sort of power. I don't know. But these rumors had to start somehow, right? So that's why I wasn't sure if like he actually is capable of causing other like curses and rumors to manifest in other students. But then like completely like flipped his script and is now like swindling students out of money by making them believe that he can. But I like the whole confrontation with Karen. I thought that was pretty cool play on like her feeling like she is powerful and unbeatable, but he was like so easily just like, yeah, no, like you're a child, like, and I'm gonna treat you like a child, and you're literally like I have nothing to worry about.
And he just
So I thought
walked at
that
her
comfort,
and was like,
right, yeah. I thought
okay.
that confrontation was pretty interesting. Not exactly how I thought it was gonna go down.
It's kind of interesting what you said in terms of like him like kind of having powers but like maybe not having powers. I think one of the interesting things that he says is like, oh, like after he like inflicts her, stings her, or however you want to see it, he says, wow, he's like, you have a very active, like, he's like, says like you have an active imagination or like something along those lines. Is basically like that's what kind of caused her to have like the reaction that she had. So that's one thing to think about. And I want to say more, but
yeah.
Alec, what do you think of kind of Kaiki's whole deal with like basically like I'm swindling these kids out of money, these dumb idiots. Like, I mean, kids are easier to trick than adults, so that's what I'm going to do.
It's like taking candy from a baby, right?
Yeah.
Why not? I don't know. I thought that I kind of like the character. He like seems kind of like a cool villain-esque character. And his motive is just, it's like, I'm making money. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like a shallow motive where normally they try to give like this deep motive to villains. And it's kind of a neat change where he's just like, I'm just trying to make money and you guys are stupid. So I'm going to take your money. I don't know. That's how it felt to me.
Kaiki's like such an interesting character because of like how they introduce him and then like what he ends up like becoming without like getting too far into it. It's like super interesting, especially his relationship with a lot of the other characters. We kind of know that he has some sort of relationship with Senjo Gohara, and she's like at all costs trying to like prevent Araragi from having like any interaction with him. We know that he's had interaction with Hanekawa because she kind of found out where he was and pushed Karen in that direction, and it's interesting to see like kind of how his relationship with everybody sort of develops going forward. One of the things that I wrote down that I kind of wanted to talk about was like the timeline here. So we kind of get the flashback of Karen confronting him and Araragi kind of telling the stories like I kind of heard the secondhand, but this is what I think happened. That happens before he kind of has the first interaction with Kaiki when he's in front of Converter's house. So it's like he kind of knows the situation a little bit, but he plays coy when he meets Araragi for the first time. So it's kind of interesting that I don't know if he like knew what he was getting into, but it's like he knows the families, like these guys are kind of like out to get me, which is kind of interesting. And also him having a relationship with Converu, which is we don't know really anything about, but he's like kind of on the lookout, I guess, or watching. But pretty interesting stuff. Rolando, impressions. I know this is probably the second time you've seen this part of the show. Thoughts or impressions watching it again?
I mean, most of the stuff I'm noticing, because like I already know what the plot is just more of the kind of background stuff that's going on, like whatever imagery or wordplay they've been putting on there. It's like now you know why in the first meeting between Araragi or the Araragi brother and Kaiki is that like Araragi's about to explain how his name is written as kanji, but then he's like, no, I don't need to hear it. Now you know why. Because he already knows the reading from the younger sister.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny that they both had this like inclination to describe like how their family name is spelled, and it's like that's like their monologue in introducing themselves. And
hello,
he's like,
my name is this.
No, like you
can
stop right there. Like
that's actually a more common thing than you would think, because people.
Like, how do you spell your name?
Yeah.
Or write your name.
How you write your name. It's like, do you have a kanji for your name? Is it written in katakana, in hiragana? Sometimes it's like kanji that are put together that can read it in a certain way that, like, let's say Kaiki could be read in a certain way, but it could be using kanji that you wouldn't think would be putting those together.
But names in Japanese are like really interesting because
they hold like meaning.
Exactly, like a lot of like Kaiki's name's like super. All the names in the show are like super meaningful. Like Oshino Shinobu literally means heart under blade, and you'll learn more about that later. Like his name, Dead Tree, essentially.
Dead Tree.
It's like super symbolic and like the meaning behind like how they spell them and stuff, and like the relationship between like Araragi and him. There's like super is super meaningful too. So I love it. Aside here, I love it like when a plan comes together, because when I asked you that, Rolando, I was hoping you would bring like when I like described the the interaction between Araragi and Kaiki and like the back and forth. I was hoping you would bring up that's why he didn't like want to know his name. So props to you.
I mean, I'm honestly just watching out for that stuff because I already know what's gonna happen.
Love it when a plan comes together. No, and it's cool. It's cool to see things like that. Like I think they're in the room and like the money starts piling up in the room, and it's like I forget what it said exactly. Like the footnotes kind of had it or whatever, but it said like fake bank or something as like the money was piling up. It's like showing more of this theme of
Didn't it say like bank fraud?
Yeah, so, some fraud, and that's essentially what Kaiki is. He's a con man of fraud. So it's cool stuff like that to kind of notice.
I did like the background when he stings her. It made me think of Kill Bill. I was like, this with all the yellow and black lines.
The bee imagery too. The dual color black and white or black and yellow.
Black and yellow.
Very cool.
Yeah, you know what it is.
The only other thing that I want to point out, because there wasn't too much that kind of went on in this episode, it's kind of building up to the next episode. We kind of have like a solution to Karen's problem.
Building it up.
Building to the next episode.
He just wants familial love.
Yeah.
They love each other.
Yeah.
We'll breach that subject when we get there. But it was interesting, the interaction between Araragi and Hanekawa. Their conversations like pretty meaningful, like him walking her home. The one thing that's really interesting, he says, they're talking about like how their families are different, and we know a little bit about her family and how it's like kind of fucked up. The second he brings that up, she immediately brings up Oshino, and so it's like, did she kind of relate him to being her only family, because she like taught him a lot of things, or he taught her a lot of things, and so it's like she's kind of relating him to being their family as opposed to her situation, which is not that great. So that's something to kind of keep your eyes out for as well. But overall thoughts and impressions, next episode's gonna be kind of wild.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It felt, I don't know, I was like, the whole time that I'm watching it, because some episodes have a lot, I was like, am I missing a whole bunch of stuff, or is this just more of a build-up episode, or am I just missing a bunch of stuff? But no, next episode should be wild, given how this one's ending.
This is
definitely not gonna watch it at work.
I think
don't watch the next episode at work.
This scene I have definitely seen. Just because it's like it's gotten around anime communities, and it's like this infamous clip that
if it's the
like,
scene I'm thinking
what is going on,
then I've seen it, but I have no context to it at all.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I sent you that scene when it aired.
A long time ago.
Dude, check this out.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Check this out.
Dude, check this stuff out.
Check it out. It's legit.
Yeah, this is a really long arc. Like trying to change the subject, but like this is what we're going on episode 6 now, and it still hasn't finished.
11 total episodes as well. So
11 total in this season. But this arc is, I'm gonna assume, probably not taking up the entirety of the season, is it?
I believe it's 7. 7 of Karen B, and then 4 of Ski Phoenix.
Ski Phoenix.
Ski.
Suki.
Because I love her.
Suki.
The next arc's interesting too, because we get some other interesting characters kind of going on. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well.
Yeah.
Anything else before we kind of move on? Like we talked about, more of a setup episode than anything. I think we'll have a lot more to talk about next time.
I like that he's bringing Shinobu like out more. Like, after it's kind of like just piggybacking off of the previous episode where it's like they've reconciled now, and so like now he's I guess feeling more comfortable with approaching her and having her interact with like his life, because I mean like
It's interesting because he sees her. Not only does he like see her worth, but it's like because Oshino is gone, he can't like really rely on that, which was almost throughout the entirety of the first season. He ended up going back to him and say, "How do we do this? How do we fix it?" So he's kind of assuming that role, which is important.
He even says it.
Yeah,
He
Yeah,
says,
he
"Oh,
references it.
Oshino's probably gonna figure out what's going on and solve it himself." It's like, no,
he gone.
he's gone,
Deuces.
dude.
He gone.
You gotta find out how to
I
do
thought it was really cool though how they did the shadow when he was talking to her. It was like big, and then he talked to her, and they made it all small, and they made it big again. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, a lot of cool like vampire sort of like symbolism and things kind of going forward.
Vampires.
And
Yeah, but
he's
he's a vampire, but he has a shadow, dude. Oh.
All these important things. He has a reflection too.
Wow.
This is all important. All important
And he
things,
eats
guys.
garlic.
No spoilers. No spoilers. I can't hear you if I
No.
cover my headphones.
No spoilerino.
Pasta.
But yeah, more Shinobu. I definitely cannot complain about because we all know how I
Shinobu.
feel about Shinobu. So,
Yeah, I've been to your house.
yeah, that's right. There's a whole shelf of just Shinobu.
Yeah. He's got a new one for the collection too.
It's true. Yeah. Actually, there's one on my desk right here.
Yeah, right there. Look at that.
Look at it. Look at it.
Anything else before we kind of move on?
No siree, Bob.
No.
Cool. Glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm glad we kind of weathered through the first season because it can drag a little bit. I think, like we talk about every week, it's picking up and it's like fun to watch now. I think so.
Yeah, I'd agree. If I compare it to the first season, definitely agree.
For sure.
The shizzle.
Moving on, let's talk about this cool beer. So
Cool
Brewery
beer.
West, the Popfuji. We are all drinking it this week. Some neat little can art. They have really interesting can art because I had another one of their beers, and I think you guys talked about it before. But really good. That was really good, and this is also very good. Like we said, an unfiltered pilsner. Keep it cold, you idiot. It doesn't say that.
I was like, wait, it says that.
It's like, I didn't say that on mine.
5% ABV, and it is kind of as you would expect an unfiltered pilsner to be like, and it is delicious. Classic, kind of straw colored, but it is not very clear.
All that
No.
yeast
Careful,
just,
Rolando.
all that yeast just came into my glass right there on that last pour.
No, I was gonna say that. So like I poured some of it and like I got a big head, and then it was like it was very clear, and then like to get the last little dump of it, it like
Yeah, it was like, this doesn't look too unfiltered, and then
Right.
bloop, like, oh, never mind.
Yep,
It was
there it
just
goes.
resting at the bottom.
As it does.
I think if I did it again, because I did get a 4-pack of this, and I'm glad I did because it's delicious. I would kind of swirl it a little bit and
Shake
and
the
do a
can.
pour.
Yeah, just shake the
shake
can.
it
And
as
open
hard,
it.
as hard as I can. Nice.
Catch the whole thing.
Give it a good shake.
Give it a good old,
Yeah.
good old shake.
Who picked this though? Because this is a good choice.
Rolando.
I think Rolando.
Yeah.
Rolando, you picked it.
I did.
It is a good choice because I've been on a big Pilsner kick, and
Pilsner
this
kick.
is right up there with the good ones. Liz had some earlier. She compared it to the Pills, the Pay the Bills, the McKellar one. I don't think that one's unfiltered though, but another like really strong Pilsner that we've had recently. The Enter Night Pilsner by Stone is very good. A few others that I've been drinking over fall. The Pills for All. Yeah, a lot of really good ones out there. Kind of getting away from the hazies that are kind of everywhere. I'm glad that Pilsners are kind of, I don't necessarily know if they're coming back, but there's been a lot more like really good ones recently.
People are diversifying outside of IPAs.
Again.
Again.
Good.
Yeah, it's like
I got
in
tired.
waves. It's not a good time to be a non-IPA drinker, although it never really has been in the craft beer scene, Alec, unfortunately for you.
Well, at some points it was, and then it wasn't. Like almost immediately after I got into it.
Well, at least you have like some diversity now. Like a lot of different breweries are coming out with like the barrel aged stuff. I think like the barrel aged stuff is like the hotness right now. hazy IPA, obviously, and even to some extent, I think these pilsners are starting to kind of make the rounds back again. Not as heavy as like barrel aged or hazy stuff, but it's they're readily available and generally very good as long as you like classic beer flavors, I would say.
Yeah.
Just means I've always had to work harder to find my good beers.
It's true.
Stamp of approval.
Putting in that work. Any thoughts or impressions? I mean, to me, it tastes pretty standard pilsner. You got wheat, malt, a little bit of honey. Smells like that classic pilsner should smell.
Yeah.
It's definitely, the malt is very like biscuity.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of, I guess it's the type of malt they're using. I think they're using
German,
malted
aren't
barley. Oh, it just says malted
they? Oh no.
barley.
Yeah.
I thought
Malted barley.
they specified which.
Here, let me
It's not
Google
like Munich malt or like whatever. But of like the pilsners that I've had, like the Pilsner Urquell and other ones, like it does have that sort of lingering, sort of biscuity undertone that is kind of nice in the finish. And the German hops, it's like you kind of have to use the German hops, otherwise it's not gonna have that
It's gonna get
sort of
overpowered.
clean, understated bitterness
Mm-hmm.
that a pilsner
We
has.
talk about like these classic styles a lot, and it's like you don't really want to stray away too far from like the generally accepted formula of like clean, crisp, refreshing. With those German hops, with the yeast that kind of gives you that like little bit of biscuity flavor. Although I don't feel like a lot of them are unfiltered, which is kind of new and different, but
Yeah.
I think it contributes to the overall goodness, I guess, of the beer.
I haven't
It adds
seen or had a
texture.
lot of unfiltered either.
It
Yeah.
adds texture
Mhm.
and it contrasts
For sure.
with the mouthfeel. So it's like something like the Pilsner Urquell is very like vibrant,
Mm-hmm.
whereas this is a little bit more just
Flatter.
flatter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as like bubbly.
Yeah.
But it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's got
Brewery
good like
West. Man,
spice flavor.
San Pedro, right?
I really like their
Yeah.
beers.
Honestly, yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
think
man.
this is the first one I've had.
I have I'm on like a Brewing
say
West
something.
kick right now. I think I have 3 in my fridge. I have this. I have the acid. What is it? Something in LA. Hollywood Acid. And then I also picked up the Dog Ate My Homework, which is a blackberry ale.
Is that why he's asleep?
That's why he's asleep. He's
He's
he had his
full.
fill of my homework.
Digesting that math. Yeah.
Oh, that's a blackberry saison. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm excited to try that one.
That sounds
kinda
really good.
crazy.
Let's do that next week.
You guys can find it.
I'll find
I'm
it.
down.
I'm used
Drew's
to
already
putting in
gonna
the work.
throw up.
He's gonna fly to San Pedro and get it. It's mine. Got it.
Or just bring me one.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, wait, I'm gonna be there
Yeah.
next weekend.
I'll pay you.
Yeah, slip me one.
Yeah,
Yeah, slip me one. Slip me one.
So Rolanda, you picked it. Why don't you lead us off with your rating?
All right. You can see here that the head is still there, albeit not as
Yeah, it was like
abundant as it was before. But this beer has pretty understated nose. Like I said, there's more texture when it's unfiltered like this. It's not just super lively in the mouthfeel. But yeah, it's kind of like drinking juice. Actually, if I want to give that sort of mouthfeel texture, and it tastes like a pilsner. It's a little bit more on the hoppy side compared to some of the other pilsners I've had that have more of like that malt kind of aftertaste. But it might just be because of the unfiltered nature of this that taking out the impurities might kind of coat your tongue and make it harder for you to taste some of the other flavors. But yeah, I would give this. Honestly, I'd give this a 4. I think it's a good beer.
Very cool. Mark, what are you thinking?
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes like a Pilsner. I think it's got like a little bit of a kick at the end of it. And it might be sort of that like hoppy finish. It just seems like it has sort of a bite. And I think that's kind of probably just due to like the unfiltered nature of it. It just seems like it has a little bit something extra. I don't know if it detracts from like the standard like Pilsner style that I'm used to, because I'm used to like having like a really crisp finish and not something that has like so much of a bite to it. Because I mean, like when I drink like the Pilsner Urquell, like that just finishes off like so smooth, and it's like really refreshing. This almost yeah, this is almost like a little bit heavier in a sense. It's not as refreshing. I mean, it's still very good, still pretty light.
It sticks to your
but
tongue
it just
more,
definitely.
so it feels
definitely.
heavier.
I'll probably give this like a 3.75. I mean, I still think this is pretty good. Maybe not the best beer that I've had from Brewery West. But I mean that's because like they make so many good like hazy IPAs that it might be just something that I'm like not used to tasting from them. But it's still pretty good. Yeah, I think like 3.75 is good.
Cool. Alec?
I pretty much agree with both of them. I haven't had too many unfiltered like Pilsners or IPAs. Obviously, I don't drink any. So I don't really know how it kind of affects the flavor, but it does feel like heavy on my tongue. So it feels heavier, like Mark was saying, less crisp. I really like the malt flavor in it, though. You get it kind of like in the middle, I guess. Like right up front, you just kind of get like, I don't know, but in the middle, you get that like malt flavor. And then it just goes to bitter for me because my taste buds for bitter aren't very discerning. So it tends to overpower everything else after that. But somewhere in there, there's a little bit of spice. And I actually find it quite like enjoyable to drink. I think if we're a little less bitter, I'd like it a lot more, but it's not that bitter at all. I'm just a baby. So, I don't know. I really dig it. This is the first Brewery West beer I've had, so I'm going to try them again. I really want to try the Dog Ate My Homework. And then I was looking on their website here. I see the Saison Extra. It's a Belgian-style farmhouse ale. I want to get that one too, but... Anyways, I'm going to go with same as Mark, 3.75. I like the Pilsner Urquell better, and I think I gave that a 4.25 or a 4.
Cool.
Nice.
Good, though.
I agree with most of what everyone's saying. I really enjoyed the malts. Don't think it's too bitter, at least for me, but this is the IPA guy we're talking about. I don't know. Not much else to say about it that you guys didn't already cover, so I think I'll just rate it. I am going to give it a 4.25. It's an excellent beer, an excellent Pilsner from an excellent brewery. It's a lot of excellence. So
A lot of
Excellent.
If you're
Why am I not wearing my Bill and Ted shirt?
That's right.
Be
If you're
excellent
in
to each other.
If you can try a Brewery West beer, try any of them because they all, at least the ones that I've had, have all been delicious. That Saison does not sound like it's up my alley, but the beers that they make seem to be of high quality. So check out Brewery West. Check out Popfuji.
I think we should change our rating system from 1 to 5 to excellent, 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 or excellent, excellent, excellent.
What about excellent and excellent?
That could be the 4th. That's like the top rating, and nothing ever gets that.
That's a 5.
Yeah, that's a 5. Excellent.
Mississippi Mud gets that.
No, Mississippi Mud doesn't get any.
Mississippi Mud
any
gets
excellence. No excellence. The standard.
Oh, what's your rating?
0 excellence out of 100.
All right. So yeah, like I said, check out Brewery West. Grab a Popfuji or any one of the other beers, and let us know what you think.
Grease Lightning.
Picnic Light.
Yeah, they got some crazy can art too. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, the can art is cool.
It's amazing.
And it's like very varied. Like this one, it's like this dude in outer space, like reaching through dimensions.
It's dope.
The picnic one, it's like pixelated graveyard dog, and like
Yeah, on a rabbit that's like made of lightning.
yeah.
The Hollywood acid one is like just this weird blend of
Wild.
like random colors, and it's all like a bunch of dots. Yeah, their art's crazy. Great.
Cool.
It's cool.
Let's jump into our news segment. This is something that we were going to talk about because a couple things got delayed this week. Most notably, the show that we're watching, Pet. But yeah, there's a lot of coronavirus news, and it is affecting the anime industry. So multiple shows have been delayed due to coronavirus. Nippon Bashi Street Fest, which is a cosplay festival, had to be canceled, citing health concerns, not wanting to spread the virus. Some more coronavirus news we have down here. The Idolmaster Million Live One Night Cruise Welcome Aboard tour has been canceled.
Oh,
Didn't we
shit.
talked about this cruise a while ago, but it looks like because of the Diamond Princess cruise that has been docked in Yokohama, there's a quarantine issue, people with not being able to leave the cruise ship, and it's like kind of a big mess. So
Well, the Americans were able to leave.
Yeah, they got out.
They're clear.
Luckily, there's an American military base in Yokohama.
yeah,
Yokohama.
but coronavirus bad. A lot of things kind of a debacle on many different levels.
Yeah.
But
Just like improper like care and like reacting to
yeah, people not
Yes,
taking
people
it
are-
as serious as it probably should have been taken at first, and then realizing, oh, this is a big deal, and being reactionary as opposed to like getting out in front of it. And when that happens, it's usually not very good. So
Well, like
great.
I know.
even like technically, when I was in Tokyo last month, like I should have been really careful because like everyone was just like, oh, it's just like there's a few people in Wuhan that have this, like, but there were so many sick people, just like in general that
well, that's what you were saying when you were going through customs. There was like just people like coughing,
Yeah.
like not covering their mouth, like it's really bad.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
But it's like, granted, I was like, whatever, it's flu season, everyone's sick, but now
Turns
that like
out.
everything has just been kind of spreading, and like whatever the World Health Organization at first that said don't panic, now they're realizing, oh shit, it's actually
it's actually
turning into a
this is
pandemic.
serious.
Like
Yeah.
it's actually kind of crazy how saying to keep things like relax and don't cause a panic actually has sort of caused a panic.
Yeah. I mean, anything of the scale is going to cause like pandemonium and
Right.
panic of some sort. But it's like you need to like find a balance between like letting people know and like not making a big deal about it. Obviously, that's very hard to do, especially on something of like this scale. But man, I feel like that this was not handled properly.
That
But
cruise ship
feels like-
definitely wasn't handled.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
They just
at
locked a
all,
bunch.
no.
They've locked over 1,000 people on a cruise ship with like
like deal with
14
it.
people that were infected, and now like over 600 people are infected. Like that's just terrible. Terrible.
This is what not to do in in close
So-
quarters.
So yeah, like I said, coronavirus bad. But it is what it is. It's some of these things had to be canceled, but probably for good reason. So hopefully we get some of the shows and things back soon, but we'll kind of keep everybody posted on that. Moving on into some, I guess, different news. The Lagunitas CEO, Lagunitas, a brewery that we are a fan of, but the CEO, Maria Stipp, former Activision executive, Activision bad, resigns to pursue a different challenge in her career. The parent company, Heineken International, will replace her with Heineken's Canada's managing director and longtime Heineken veteran, Dennis Peak. This is an interesting question that whoever posted this pose is, do we think this is her doing this because she wants to do something, or is it like we need you to step down so that we can bring in a little bit more control? I don't know. It's to me, it's kind of weird because she has been successful in several different things, and maybe that is just the type of person she is. But at the same time, I can definitely see it as Heineken saying like, we want to control more, as these larger companies tend to want to do, or maybe they were forcing her to make decisions that she didn't want to have to make, and so she stepped down. I can kind of see it going their way.
I've read some like comments by people who were, working at Lagunitas, and they were kind of saying like they feel like she was sort of pushed out, just because the company had like gone through so many changes over the past couple of years, and she definitely took this approach to the company as it's just a company, as opposed to it being like a craft beer, like like they wanted to grow their brand and have different approaches. I think that Lagunitas being a very like, or well, used to be, I guess, technically craft. I don't know if you really call it craft anymore since they're so large.
No.
But anyway, like, so yeah, since
That's a
it used to be like this,
conversation.
right. Since it used to be so craft focused, like, they weren't really trying to do as many like interesting things or different routes to create new beers. It was more of like a business in a sense, as like well, we need to release things on a yearly basis, so we need to have some sort of like minor changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would like some of the comments that were saying like, yeah, we worked for Lagunitas, and it was like some of her business meetings were like just complete jokes. It was like a shareholders meeting, as opposed to like, well, how are we moving this company forward?
Was she doing equally tone deaf decision making like they do at Activision and EA, where
could have been,
where she talked about doing microtransactions with their beers?
So in order to get this limited edition can, you gotta pay a little bit more. We think it's worth it.
You gotta pay extra for your bottles to be capped. Otherwise, you gotta buy them here.
You gotta pay for the actual.
It gives the buyer a sense of accomplishment when they
sense of pride and accomplishment.
When they spend their money to purchase this from said grocery store.
Yeah. I don't know.
You can pay a little bit extra to find it closer to you.
Ooh. I also have a feeling that I think like Heineken may want to try to take control a little more, but I mean, I don't know.
All right. So
time can only tell.
So I went to the Heineken experience in Amsterdam, and they actually did a whole thing. And one of the big reasons why Heineken itself is like really big in America is because they advertise themselves very well and were very good at marketing. And so like the main reason why, like, when you think of like beer in general and like imported beer, you think of Heineken, is because they kind of just looked at the market like back when America was still like fledgling, and we're like, we know like how to market ourselves to this sort of newer up and coming growing market. So I feel like they kind of know what they want to do, and now that they've seen kind of what Maria has been doing and how sort of unsuccessful it's been, because like she got Lagunitas to do more styles of beer, but they didn't do any hazy IPAs throughout this whole period, and hazy IPAs had been like the big
did Super Cluster. No, is that not a hazy?
Yeah. When was that brewed though?
I don't know. I think it came out like last
year.
2 years ago. Last year, maybe.
They were really late to the
really
hazy
late,
IPA train. When I went to Lagunitas 2 years ago, I said, "Do you have anything that's more on the hazy side?" Because I was like, I wanted to see what their offering was, and they're like, "No, but we have this like kind of juicy IPA that it's not really classified as a New England style or a hazy or juicy, but it's got juicy components, and then that's like enough
like a
to
tropical
say."
IPA.
Yeah, that's just like enough to say with their
using
tone
like
deafness.
citra hops or something.
Yeah. They're just not reading the market well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think Heineken is using this opportunity to be like, all right, listen, we know about beer. You know about money. We're gonna come in here and step in and be like, all right, we're gonna put someone here that's been with us for a long time and kind of knows how everything goes, and they're gonna try and steer the ship in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of where it ends up. Lagunitas does do like a lot of beers that we enjoy. I mean, they're classic, IPA, and we talked about that, I think, even last week. The branding and things behind that. Mark and I are big fans of like the Waldos, like that super like crazy story and really hoppy, crazy beer. And they do some good things. So I'm hoping either they get more in touch with the times, I guess, or hopefully their beer doesn't go the way of like Ballast Point, where they've lost like total touch of anything and their beer just like isn't very good anymore.
Yeah.
We'll see. Time will tell. Next piece of news, our Quince. So Gotubone no Hayoname Hayayome, whatever. The Quince. The Quince. I can't say words. I drank the whole beer already. The manga has ended with the 122nd chapter. The 14th volume of the final, or the 14th volume and final volume will be released in April. And we keep talking about, but the second season of the anime is slated for fall 2020. Mark and Rolando, you're keeping up with it, right?
I finished it, yeah.
We finished it.
We had our discussion about it, and we kind of both agree.
Yeah.
Is it something to look forward to in terms of like, do we think like the second season of the anime is going to get there?
It's not going to get there.
No.
But the second season is going to be good.
It will be good.
It's probably the best part of the manga, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I love that show. We all know I love that show.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is the ending, and anything of this sort of genre is obviously polarizing, but is the ending going to be like super polarizing from what you guys have read, or
it's been polarizing? Yeah.
We've covered like some of the news kind of leading up to it in terms of people have their opinions about things, but it's kind of like anything for this sort of shows. They have their opinions about best girl or not. So.
Right. Pretty much how it goes. Yeah.
All I can say is
I keep looking forward to second season, and now I hope they end it. Like I hope
they're not gonna end it.
No, I know they're not gonna end it in the second season, but I hope they will then get the
a third season.
To hopefully then end it, but we'll see.
It depends. I mean, the manga itself was fairly popular, and I think the first season at least was popular, even though it was poor quality.
Despite the quality, yeah. But,
so I could see it getting the third season, but then again, some other shows that seemed way more popular didn't get their finishing seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if how the ending of the Bokuben anime, I wonder if that will have an impact on
how this
Quince. Yeah.
Well, Bokuben will be ending, but it's not
the anime did an original ending, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that pissed off a lot of people apparently.
Yeah, I wonder if that's gonna have something to do with how people react to it.
Maybe. I don't think they'll do an original ending for this show because there's a very easy there's two spots where they can easily end it. And I've already told you, Mark, where I think they could end it. And those two spots are very good for ending the series, or not the series, the show. But who knows? It could get the third season, but I don't know how at least the Japanese audience views how the manga ended. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I think if anything, they should just do it they're ripping off a Band-Aid, just let it go for the next two seasons, and then just hope that the fans are happy with it. Because I feel if they ended at the next arc, and sorry, we're way off topic, we're just keep ranting, but if they ended next arc, then they wait another couple seasons, I feel people are just gonna be all right, why do I still care?
I think they could end it at the next season and just stop making any more.
Sorry.
Because that technically is a good spot for either of those two those two parts. Probably the second, the later one. That's like a good place to end it. Like I would say that's enough closure. Everything else after that is kind of a little bit more BS. There's some characters that you might end up hating afterwards.
Right.
Some characters you might like more, like I did. So who knows?
Cool. We'll see. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. I mean, I talked to Odd End. You know how much I liked the first season. So, next piece of news: a Saki episode of Side A spin-off manga to resume after its previous run ended 7 years ago. I'm not familiar with this, so I'll let whoever posted this kind of run with this one.
Yeah. So, if you are familiar with the Saki manga, it's the crazy magical mahjong manga. That thing has been going on for forever, honestly. The original series aired in the late 2000s, and then episode of Side A, that anime aired in the mid 2010s. It like ended with the manga, and then the main manga was supposed to continue on the story because it's just supposed to cover the people on the other side of the bracket of the tournament. Now it's like, all right, well, let's bring it back up because we're so slow at finishing this story that let's bring the other character's perspective of the final round. It's this show, or this series in general. There's like another spin-off manga called Toki, another spin-off manga called like Shinohayu, which is like about previous pro mahjong players in this universe. Like there's like a whole like Saki manga mahjong cinematic universe that's being built around here.
The mahjong cinematic
Mahjong
universe.
gods.
But this is honestly the longest fucking tournament arc you can ever find because it's been going on since before this last decade.
I wonder, like, what manga series has had the longest hiatus? If that's Berserk, Hunter x Hunter, or Saki? I'm very curious.
I think there was like a
Something like-
solid like 2 years where like there was no updates to the manga, and then
I think
every
Hunter
few
x Hunter did
chapters
that.
there's always like going on break for 2 months. Like,
You can ask any Hunter x Hunter fan who like reads the manga. That's exactly how it is. It'd be like one chapter, and then like 2 months later, there's like another chapter, and then it's just like, holy crap, we've never had so many chapters in so short a time. And then it's just like another 6 months, and people are like, all right, like this.
Wasn't the author like really sick though for that? Like I feel like
there
mean,
was a time.
Is it the
There was a
case?
time, yeah. This has been over like the past like 7 years where it's like he'll release like three chapters a year or something. I mean,
Over
yeah, he's bound to get sick.
over the last 2 years, I had been following the manga. Like I'll look at it like 6 months later because I know it's gonna take forever to update. You're like, oh, okay, we're still in the first round of the final match, and it's been like 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Damn.
Yeah, well, they're past it now, but it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous to think that this manga like started. I want to say like 2007 or 2008, something like that. It's been going on forever.
I was googling mangas that have had long hiatuses, and Made in Abyss
It's just like,
had 6 volumes made since 2012, I guess, and that's what they list as number 1 on this list.
What's the number 2?
Number 2 was Hunter x Hunter, and number 3 was Berserk.
There you go, Mark.
Good job, Mark.
Yeah.
There you go.
Berserk had 39 volumes from 1989 until now.
Damn.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as time.
that's how long my sister's been alive.
It's longer than we've been alive. Come
Yeah,
on.
it is. It is.
It's true. Right on. So moving on, an anime we're watching this season, 22/7 member Mizuha Karaoka, voice Miyaku Kono, will be going on hiatus from idol activities due to health-related issues. She's the second member to go on hiatus from this group, most notably being Mei Hanakawa's departure due to health issues back in December. She was ultimately replaced by Uta Kawase in voicing Nicole in the anime series. So a lot of health issues. Is it like stress related
Who
or?
knows? It's tough
Actually,
being an
they
idol.
don't really say. Yeah, it is tough being an idol. I would not want to be an idol, especially after watching like this week's episode where they made her do like everything because everybody else was
Yeah.
sick. Like that was brutal.
That was brutal.
But yeah, being an idol, it's tough out there for these idols, man.
It's tough out there for these idols.
Yeah. Ride Your Wave anime film by Masaki Yuasa earns $300,000 at U.S. box office. This total from one night screening presented by Fathom. Fathom on there with those good U.S. showings. I like it. I'm all about it.
Fathom's
On
dope.
February 19th. So yeah, pretty big showing for a 1 day release in U.S. That's awesome.
Yeah, $300,000. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Did anyone here watch it?
I totally forgot. No, I did not.
But yeah, way to go, Ride Your Wave. Watakoi live action film. It's not with these live action stuff. Set to complete at the Udine Far East Film Festival in Udine, Italy, from April 24th to May 2nd, which is my birthday. The film debuted at #1 in Japanese box office on February. So Watakoi, we've talked about that a little bit on the show.
That's cool.
But yeah, going for these the film festival. Very cool. What else we got? New live action. Some of these live action stuff. New live action movie based on Gundam Build. Oh, that's the series where they do Gunpla and they like fight them. Is that
Yeah,
what this is going to be?
That's what it is.
So there's a live action version of this has been announced for the 40th anniversary of Gunpla. Man,
This is kind of interesting.
it's
It's a new Gundam project, guys.
Sure.
New Gundam project.
Mecha's not dead.
Mecha's not
Mecha's
dead.
not
Love
dead.
Live
We
hasn't
need some-
killed Mecha yet.
Yeah, we need some mecha. Some Mecha's not dead.
How about
merch.
Mecha Love
Yeah.
Live?
Mecha Live?
You
Yeah,
mean
Mecha
Idol
Live.
Master Xenoglossia?
Or you mean Sympho Gear?
You mean insert other like Macross? Like
Oh my god. So yeah, if you're a fan of Gunpla, a fan of live action, and of Mecha, this is for you? Question mark. Last piece of news we got here: Love Live Fest Day 1 delayed viewing is tomorrow, February 25th at 7 p.m. in the U.S. Check Fathom Events. Shout out to Fathom for tickets, although they are likely sold out in popular areas. You guys are going?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
No,
Meeting up with some friends going.
not
Very cool.
going.
Gonna have some fun.
Fun,
Dancing.
Gonna dance.
Gonna see if I
Wow.
can see myself. You know, like
That's me. Dude.
That's me.
That's my glow stick. That's me. That's
It's
me.
gonna be kind of cool because like you were
Completely out
there
of
and then to
sync.
be able to like, see everything in like a cinematic experience. I think it's gonna be really cool. So I'm excited for
it'd
you.
be a lot easier to
that's-
see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because
See
you
all
mentioned
that
like
stuff.
the little like moving stages and stuff. Like you didn't have a good view of a lot of that, so to kind of get the whole picture of it, I think it's gonna be really cool. So
That's
I'm
cool.
excited for you for that.
Yeah.
That's it for news. So
don't need
let's jump into our currently airing shows. One thing we wanted to mention, we kind of started with our news topics. But Pets is on hiatus. Is it specifically due to coronavirus? I didn't see it mentioned in any of the articles, but that's
I-
are we assuming
We're
that?
assuming
or,
that.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything come
Yeah.
through from the.
And this is also the
site.
show that was like delayed for a season for like seemingly no reason.
Right.
So
Who knows? Could be.
I'm not sure.
They're like, we'll make it halfway. We got half. We'll hope that we get the other half by halfway.
it'll happen
And then they did.
eventually.
Take it.
It's an interesting show. I don't think it's like my favorite show of the season, but it's interesting to kind of see what's going on. And the idea is good. Some of the characters are insufferable, kind of like what we talked before. But
Hiroki.
Hiroki.
Yeah, he's
Um,
not the best.
But overall, a really, I think, solid show in terms of like the idea behind it. So hopefully it comes back soon. We'll give everybody more information as we figure that out. Some of the other shows we're watching, My Hero, we have kind of the start of the planning stages for the the school festival. We got a band. They got the band together, guys.
Got the band back together.
Who would have thought Bakugo would play the drums?
He's a barefoot drummer too.
The Explosion Man plays percussion instruments.
Well, think about the
But,
force he could get. Bah! It just breaks the drum head.
I just like how Bakugo's like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it our way. We're gonna do it
Yeah.
right. And then everyone's like,
we're gonna
"Oh,
kill
you
them
explained
with
that
sound.
in a very terrible way, but yeah."
He says something about like murdering people, like he usually does.
We're gonna murder
We're gonna
people
kill
with
'em with
music.
sound.
He's just a metal drummer.
Yeah,
All right.
he's just playing double bass, just
Let's
like
make
blast
their
beats.
eardrums bleed.
He's like the
Yeah,
mascot
literally
using
blast
that
beats.
video.
He's the guy that does explosions from his hands.
Blast beat.
Who needs drums?
I'm gonna be interested to see kind of Eri and what Gentle Criminal is gonna do to her, because we know that's like kind of what that's leading towards. At least they've kind of hinted to that. So, gonna be a
Brava.
couple
La
episodes,
Brava.
yeah, Show La Brava. It's like the YouTube comments say Show La Brava. That was like the best part of the
Thirsty.
episode.
You're getting thirsty over there.
Kind of an interesting idea for this this criminal though. It reminds me a little bit of like Robin Hood, like
Men in
or
tights.
not even Robin Hood. Actually, that's the wrong comparison. I want to compare it to the Phantom Thieves. That's what I really want to compare it to. So a Persona 5 reference, the gentleman thief, kind of what the main character of Persona 5 is sort of based off of. Gives me a lot of those sort of vibes. So. And that game is also releasing soon, the Persona 5 Royal. Anyway, anything else about My Hero that you guys wanted to mention?
No.
Show La Brava, give La Brava.
Show
think-
love, bravo.
I think Jiro's character is getting a lot of character development, which I guess is needed, because she seemed like a just boring character before. But now that she's actually getting development, it's like, oh, this is actually kind of cool that she knows how to play all these instruments. She's actually talented, and has like a complex about her hobbies not being exactly hero-like.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that they're putting like, this is like the arc that she can kind of shine in, I guess.
Yeah, because a lot of like the sub-hero, I guess you call them sub-heroes, like the minor characters have kind of gotten that in some of the previous arcs, so it's cool that they're including more and more of these types of characters. There's like some characters that are pretty forgettable. I can't remember all their names. The stupid guy with the pop off is his skill.
Mineta.
Yeah.
Mineta. Like he's like a garbage character.
mean,
Belly
he's
belly
just
button
a-
guy.
It's just a perv.
Belly button. Oh,
Belly button guy.
Yeah.
Aoyama, I think.
Yeah.
Aoyama, yeah. He got like a little bit of development, so he's like a little bit okay.
I
But
like
it's like
surprises.
the guy who talks to animals is like pretty
Yeah.
forgettable. Like there's like a lot of forgettable characters, so it's kind of
There's
cool
a
that
lot of
we get some of
characters.
these forgettable characters that are being developed. Because I think one of the things that this show does well is character design. So it's kind of cool to get everybody fleshed
We
out.
never need anything from Mineta or whatever his name is. Ball
No,
head
yeah,
he,
guy.
Les is-
he bleeds too much when he pulls his balls
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't wait.
Wait, what?
Huh?
What? What? Yeah, yeah. Les Mineta is always good.
Yeah. He's just a perv.
Yeah.
Edgelord.
Etchy Lord.
Etchy Lord.
Next show, man, I love this show. Mark, I commend you for bringing this up and like making it so that like we wanted to watch it. At least I wanted to watch it. But Dorhidoro, man, what a great show! It's like show's got everything. It's like wild. It's like brutal. There's like this week we had baseball. Was not expecting there to be a baseball episode, and I like freaking love baseball. So we got that. We got all this crazy magic going on. It's like a lot to digest, but it's just like presented in this really like well animated, cool package that is just like I'm all about it. So
Wait, what was
All
the
about
episode
it.
that just came out?
7.
Maybe I watched
Seven.
6. Because I thought that I watched the latest one, but I don't remember baseball
Did it
being
come out recently?
That's definitely baseball.
Sunday, yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
yesterday,
like late Sunday.
which is kind of weird. All right, well,
Maybe you watched too early.
Maybe,
Got it.
yeah, maybe I watched it too early.
And you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
the new one, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
That's what I was like thinking. Like I've done that with Pet before, and like that's why I asked like today. It's like, did Pet get delayed? And like, yeah. But yeah, it was baseball this week. There were sharks and worms.
Yeah, I
and,
don't remember any of that happening. So
and Jonathan was there, or
Johnson.
Johnson was there.
Shocking. So
You guys are in for a treat when you watch this one, because man, this show's just so good.
Yeah. This is like, it's like one of those episodes where it's like kind of filler, but
Yeah.
not really, because like other things are still happening in the background. That
We
is,
learn a
like,
lot about like some different like main characters, like what they have going on and stuff. I won't spoil it for you guys.
yeah,
if you haven't.
characters, magic, what type of magic they can use. Yeah. Like there's just some really good stuff that happens in this episode.
A little bit more lore with like demons that we see a little bit in End's like tower basement thing. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on there.
This show is just so fun, man. It's such a
is fun.
watch.
I think I told Mark before we started today. It's like I don't often want to like read a manga based on like watching a show. This is definitely, I think, one that I'll read after the show finishes, because it's just like it's so different and it's really random, but it's like awesome. Doridoro, watch it.
Yeah. Watch it.
Check it out. Check it.
Let's jump into our favorite magical girls. Machia Record. Kind of get a little bit more of, I guess, the lore of what's happening in terms of these rumors. Get a little bit more character development. I don't know. It's like, I feel like they introduce like a lot of things, and there's like a lot of things going on in the show, but there's not actually a lot of like sustenance or substance to each of these episodes. This one in particular, it's like generally we've had like a fight between, witches or rumors or whatever. And this one we didn't really get that. It felt kind of slow. I don't know if anybody else felt that.
Yeah, it's like they sort of introduced two different rumors, but don't really know if they're going to be going after them or not. Besides one of them, the cell tower one.
I feel like the one is like about Iroha. Basically, she's disappearing, and I think that's going to have to do a lot with like her sister and her sister's disappearance. So I think that's like kind of why they introduced that, but they kind of like did it randomly, and then there's like, oh, by the way, there's also this cell phone thing that's kind of going on too, and then you add in like the wings of Magius or whatever on top of that. It's like,
yeah, it's like I don't know what's going on with that.
There's like a lot happening, but it also doesn't feel like any of it's like very important. I don't know. I feel kind of mixed about where the direction of the show's going.
yeah, it's a little just confusing overall with how the universe works, because now that I think about it, so it's like I made the comment before about how like in the first season there were a lot of the witches that had the names written out in the special language that they developed, but now that I think about it, technically Madoka erased witches even having names, so the fact that witches are even showing up in Kamihama is kind of odd, because
this is
technically
prequel, isn't it?
What?
Isn't this prequel technically?
Well, and there shouldn't be.
I don't know if it's a prequel or not.
Well, and if it was after Madoka too, she saves everybody. Like that is her. Like there shouldn't be magical girls.
Right.
Well, the magical girls, they fight, but they just fight abnormalities. So
I thought she like saves all the magical girls.
No, she saves them before they become witches, but there's still magical girls to collect the energy for the Kyubeis and all of that. They still fight like abnormalities in the world. They fight chaos. But the issue was, I believe, because there were no more witches in the world, there's no need for them to be named, and it's just odd. Just like the circumstances of this timeline is just weird. So if we're assuming that this is a sequel like what they're putting it out to be, then why isn't Madoka God like intervening in all of this?
God, okay.
I guess you're gonna play the phone game.
how does like Mammy fit into this? She's
That's what I was wondering. That's why
she
I thought it was
dies.
like a prequel.
Like
Well, she's not dead in the new timeline after Madoka saves everybody.
But yeah, because we got Madoka went back
back
to
yeah,
and
where she
wiped everybody.
before she became a magical girl, and then yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a
I don't know.
It's a little bit of
Well,
there's like
mind
there's all
bender.
of these things
time
going
travel.
around, and no one knows what the fuck is happening.
Play
in
the
this.
phone game.
Play the phone game. Apparently,
But,
that's the
I mean,
biggest
Then you'll
it's the same
advertisement.
thing.
Confuse everyone enough that they just play the phone game.
I
and
really
they get
want to
more
know what
confused.
happens. And then the phone game
Play
is
the
like,
phone.
well,
Play the phone. It
shows just like
microtransactions, and you'll
shows
find
an
out faster.
advertisement.
Shows the advertisement for the anime.
And then it says, yeah, then it shows like the microtransactions, like Alex saying, it's like just pay this much and you get more
And
story.
you'll get more story.
Advance the story.
Do you want another side story on like, animated on television? Microtransactions.
support?
Yeah, buy the Blu-rays.
Support, yeah.
Microtransactions.
Support, yeah.
Get the
Support release.
costumes.
Man.
What a world.
So yeah.
What a world.
What a
I don't
world.
know. I don't know what to think of it. I'm curious to see how they kind of wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah,
'cause there's-
feel
there's
like
a lot.
I'm already like too invested in like the world, and I just like want to know
Yeah.
where it's going. But yeah, there is a lot going on that I'm kind of unsure of. This isn't one of those shows that like I'm looking forward to every week now.
For
Because
sure.
It's just confusing.
It started off that way, but man, it's there's I think there's too many characters, there's too many subplots, and there's
Yeah,
too much,
which
too much
is
going on.
which is good, and it's different than the first
Yeah.
first season. Definitely, like I'm glad that there's like different elements going in, but now it feels like it's too much, and now it feels like it's there's
It's hard to watch.
I don't care about the characters as much as I did in the first season, because like you know, you get introduced to these characters and they kind of stick around, and you like follow them through like, you know, their falls and rises and all that stuff, and you don't really get that with this, which is sad. But
Can't get
Yeah.
attached characters if they don't die.
Mammy lives.
The Mammy Shake, dude. You don't get none of that this season.
God.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So moving on, let's talk about Izuken. I haven't been watching it. It really didn't catch me or grip me or to make me want to keep watching it. But I know that you guys are still watching it, so I'll let you speak to it.
I kind of threw this up there, but I don't know if you guys are also watching it either. But I think this is probably like my favorite series of this season.
I saw an
Um,
episode came out today, but I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
didn't
this
see
the latest episode is really good. So
Episode
they've
8?
been in like this, like they're creating the anime movie arc, and they finally like premiered it in this episode.
Because they were still making it in the last one and doing like the
yeah.
voice acting and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. They finally premiered it in this episode, and man, yeah, it's a fun ride. Like this is like a show that's like super lighthearted. It kind of fills that spot that Yuru Camp like kind of held, where it's like really fun and just enjoyable to watch. Like super easy. Like you don't have to be like paying close attention. There's not a whole lot that's happening plot wise. But it's
you can get it
it's
from
also like
the pictures.
yeah, like it's also like sort of like educating you, like the process of making an anime. So like there is substance to the show, which I really enjoy, and it's like it got like unique looks into creating anime.
I think they get the personalities done very well because Asakusa and what's the model girl's name?
Mizusaki. Yeah.
Something like- Like they're both very like they want to do everything. Like they
Yeah.
literally won't let anybody else touch the work. But it's like
Yeah.
the producer girl, I don't remember her name either, but like she's just like, you guys need to like, we need to finish this. Like you need to hand off some of the work to other people. They're like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
You
it.
mean
I'm
Drake?
gonna stay
Yeah.
longer.
Drake
Yes.
girl.
Yes.
Yeah. So like they get
Yeah.
the personalities like very well, like very eccentric, very like won't
Passionate.
yeah passionate.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's like I really enjoy that comes across really well, is that you can feel how passionate they are about like what they're doing. And yeah, after I watched the last episode where and I was like, this is like how you do a backstory really well. It shows the model girl, or the actress girl, like, um, in like a flashback. You know, she's like trying to follow people and like how they walk, how they move, how they stand up, and then she brings that to helping her grandmother, yeah, who is like essentially, you know, like really sick. And then like she's telling her like, well, like if you walk this way and if you move your hips this way, it'll help you with your movement. And then that just like comes full circle at the very end of the episode, and she's like, well, you know, all of these things that she was like taking notes of to help her grandmother comes across in her animation. And it's just like, and she has this like really powerful moment saying like, you know, I want to make animation for these like small details, and I want them to come across correctly.
Yeah.
And like, because she knows how things are working.
She has the eye for it, and like you can tell she has the eye from her backstory. Whereas like the producer girl's like, I literally don't know what you could do to improve this. But like, she's like, I didn't know there's something missing. Like,
yeah, you gotta watch the latest episode. I think the latest episode too also like hits on that note very well too. So yeah, this is definitely, I think, my favorite series of this season. There's a cool tank. Yeah, yeah.
The only reason I know about that is from
video.
Yeah, of the kid.
Dude, that was so cute. Yeah, if you aren't following our Twitter, you know, follow us on Anime on Draft. There was like a really cute video of I think this person like builds like, you know, like Gundam like models and stuff, but his daughter is like wearing one of the robot like costumes that's in the latest episode, and it's literally just like a box head and then like a box, and she's like dancing to the intro song. It's so cute. And then like in their living room is like a model replica of the tank in the show that they're creating. Yeah. I don't know how or why they did that, but it's awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty great.
People on the internet are pretty neat.
Yeah,
Pretty neat.
There's some neat stuff out there.
fishing for karma.
Yeah. Last show, Smile Down the Runway. So somebody saw the first episode, and I'm actually surprised. Who was that somebody?
That was me.
I'm not gonna lie, I read that as
gonna watch a random show and be like, hey, like this is interesting.
I read that as Slime Down the Runway and thought it was gonna be Slime Guy, weird fashion version. Not even, and I was like, hang on a second. No.
I did watch the first episode of this, actually. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I actually got turned on to watching this because I went on a YouTube journey, and then I watched Guguk's video about
as we do.
His summary of Winter 2028 anime, and I was like, okay, he's really talking up Smile Down the Runway, and so I'm like, all right, well, let me see how this first episode goes, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh wow, like the characters are very likable, and the way they play the story out in the first episode, I thought was very well done, and it made me want to cheer on for these two protagonists. And I don't know, like I really want to watch like the remainder of the episodes now, just from that first episode. I thought it was a very good first episode for a show that I didn't think I would want to watch. It was like modeling, like why am I going to watch a show about that? But
it's almost like a shonen type of like feeling that you want to root for like these underdog characters.
Yeah.
Well,
like
I
sports
googled
anime.
it,
So,
and
yeah,
it is a
essentially,
shonen manga, is the description. So
It's sports anime except modeling.
sports modeling.
So if you're not familiar with the show, the main girl, she's the daughter of this guy that owns a modeling agency, and like they're pretty well known, and he names like the agency after her, but like in French, and she like her aspiration is to represent her father's modeling agency at like the Paris run like a modeling show, and she grows like fairly quickly as a child. So like at 10, she's 158 centimeters, which is what, like 5'3", something like that.
Look it up. 158 cm.
Look it up.
But like that's already like
5
fairly
foot
tall.
1.8 feet.
Okay, so like 5'2". Like that's like fairly tall, you know, like in terms of like Asian women sizes. And then
Especially
like
for that age.
yeah, for that age. And so like the expectation is like, oh, she's gonna grow to be, you know, like closer to like 6 foot, which is like
Model.
a more model height. But she doesn't grow at all afterwards, and so they're basically telling her,
Oof.
you can't do anything. Like you're doomed. Like you can't be a model at that height. You can't
Right.
like you may have the looks, but like you're doomed because you're too short. And so everyone's just telling her she can't do it, but she has like a cheerful personality, never wants to give up her dream. And then there's this guy in her class that wants to be a fashion designer. Like all he does is make clothes for his family. His family is all women. He's got like a mother who's sick, 3 younger sisters, and he's essentially giving up his dream because they're poor. His mom's in the hospital, so that his younger sister, who's very smart, can go to like a top university. His other younger sister, who's very athletic, can go on a sports recommendation to another university. So like he's giving up everything he wants to do for them, and it's like you just want to root for these characters, you know, like they're giving up their, like they're being told to, like by their circumstances, to give up on their dreams, but
They
the end of the episode like is sort of like the switch that happens where things like go their way, and it's like now we get to see exactly how things move up until they achieve their dreams, I guess.
I'm gonna watch this. This is totally the reason I watch sports anime. So I'm gonna go
You know,
check
yeah,
it out.
it's
Oh my
totally a
God.
sports anime.
Yeah.
Like, that is actually
Yeah.
why I was like, man, this is like really cool. Like I want to root for these characters. Like they're so likable.
No. Alec, you are not allowed to watch this
Why?
until you watch Haikyuu.
Volleyball boys.
All right, I'll finish that tomorrow.
Good.
Oh, the binging begins.
I think I'm
Don't-
sick. I'm
Don't
calling
tempt
in.
him. He's gonna do it.
The binging begins.
I'm just kidding.
How many seasons is it?
Haikyuu?
Yeah.
Is this 4th season?
This is the 4th season, but
Okay.
seasons 2 and 3, there's like a movie if you really want to cheat.
I keep reading about
pretty
it, and
easy.
people keep saying just watch the show.
In
So
3 days.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna start.
I would
I'm gonna start
say
watching it
just
this
watch
week.
it.
Yeah.
You need to watch it, man. It's so good.
The
It's
problem
so
I have is
good.
like my anime watching time is like at night after work, and I don't want to go on a binging spree for a show that's readily available because like I know I'm gonna be up until 3 in the morning.
Yep,
That's fine. No, I'm just playing. That's. And I get that.
All right. I'm gonna start Friday. Anyone who wants to join in, I'll be up till 3 in the morning on Friday night.
Let's do a watch party.
Yeah, watch
There
party.
you go.
Friday, Saturday,
There you
and
go.
then till the afternoon on Sunday, so we can recuperate.
That's more like it.
Boom.
Yeah. All right.
That's what I
IQ,
like to hear.
Yeah.
Watch IQ, but you should watch the first episode of this show.
I will. Yeah. It sounds
Smile
really good.
down the runway.
Slime down the runway.
Slime guy
or
down the-
slime down the runway if you want to. So put it that way.
Spit
All
off,
right.
yeah.
I think with that, it wraps up our show for today. The beers are gone, or at least mine. It's been for a while.
It has been for quite some time.
Again, that is the Popfuji by Brewery West. So check that out. What else do we got? We got our website, so make sure you check us out. AnimeOnDraft.com has all of your Anime on Draft needs, links to everything. Can find it there. It's kind of our central hub. We're also on Discord. Discord link is on the website, and I'm also posting it in chat. So check that out. We got the link there. Join the Discord. We talk about a bunch of random stuff with our viewers, post biz, memes. We got it all. So make sure you join the Discord. We're also on Twitter at Anime on Draft. Follow us for funny, cute gifs of people dancing to Azakun and making cool crafts. Get in arguments. DM Mark. He runs it, so he's there.
Argue with
Also on
him.
Instagram.
He's lonely.
All right. Also on Instagram, Anime on Draft Podcast. And if you do not watch us live here on twitch.tv/anime on draft, you can find us where all podcast services are. Search for Anime on Draft, or again, just head to the website. It'll kind of link you out there. On YouTube, follow us on Twitch, hit that follow button. make sure you turn on notifications. We've been streaming on Mondays around 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we've been pretty good about keeping that so far. So make sure you follow us here. Check us out on Mondays if you want to watch us live. Want to reach out to us, send us an email, contact@animeondraft.com. You can also use the contact information on our website. And lastly, anytime you see us and you're out there on one of your podcast services, make sure that you're rating us. Give us a 5-star rating if you enjoy the stream, you enjoy the service. Kind of helps with our visibility. Lets us know also that we're doing a good job. So appreciate that. With that said, I think that kind of wraps us up for this evening. Like I said, check out that Unfiltered Pills, the Popfuji. Check out Brewery West. Follow us, do all that good stuff, and we will see you next week.
Yeah.
Say
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Bye, Russ. Rusko. Bye.
Bye, Roscoe.